Ooh, Grand Rising. Grand Rising, all you Elizabeths. And this is the day that we have never, ever seen before. And ooh, the possibilities are absolutely endless. So we ought to be excited about that. I know I am. I don't know about you, but I know I am excited about that. I just want to say thank you. Right now, I just have to say thank you to the Elizabeths because you epitomize this thing called sisterhood so beautifully. And in my time of need, you were there. And I just want to say thank you. I felt your prayers. I felt you lifting me up in light and love. And I just say thank you. I thank you. And today, our prayer comes from Jesus Listen. And I would like to share it with you right now. Ooh, beautiful Savior, beautiful Savior. We long to comprehend the depth and the breadth of your love that surpasses knowledge. We have seen that there is an enormous difference between really knowing you and simply knowing about you. Instead of just knowing some facts about you, we want to enjoy the glorious experience of your loving presence. We realize that we need the help of your spirit strengthening us with power in our inner being so that we can grasp how wide and how long and how high and how deep is your love for us. How wide and how long and how high and how deep is the love that God has for us. You have been alive in our hearts since the moment of our salvation. We've discovered that the more room we make for you in our inner beings, the more you can fill us up with your love. So make room, ladies, make room, make room, make room. You've been teaching us to expand this space in our hearts by spending ample time with you and absorbing your word. We want to learn to stay in communication with you more and more and praying consistently. These are joyful disciplines and they keep us close to you. Lord, right now we ask that your love may flow through us into the lives of other people. And this makes your love in us complete. In your loving name, in your loving name and nature, we say amen, ashe,
Ashe.
and amen.
Mm-hmm.
Amen.
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 So Danni, is the service today or is the viewing today?
The viewing is today and
Okay.
the service is tomorrow. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we've just got a few more things to complete. Pray that some power reaches wherever it needs to reach. But it's all in divine order. Now I will say that it's all in divine order, and all is well. So,
Yeah.
um, you know, we covered. No matter what happens to us, no matter what happens with us, we are always covered. Now we may not feel like it based on what's going on in our lives. We may not feel like God is looking out for us, but nothing could be further from the truth.
Absolutely.
Nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So we are moving forward with what we need to do today, and God's gonna take care of. God takes care of the big things and the small things. So So we are good and we are covered. And I thank you and I love you. Thank you.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Love you.
Yes.
Where our prayers continually flow with all of you, the whole family and.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I
How's
just
your
needed
daughter?
to come on this morning. You know what? She's a champ. She her mom, before she passed, she said, "I'm so proud of my children." And
Mm-hmm.
that just touched me. If you get an opportunity to walk through that with someone,
Mm-hmm.
and it has been an absolute honor to have
She
known
only
her
have
since I
one.
was 8.
Does she have one?
She
How
has
many children?
a
Oh,
son and a daughter.
okay.
Yeah. But the son ain't been no good, right? And not because he doesn't have the capability, he is just heartbroken.
Mm-hmm.
And we asked him to look at for a suit in his mama's closet. I swear to God, we thought, oh, I said, that's all right, I'm coming. Don't worry about it. So bless his heart. He's really doing the best that he can right now, as all of us are. So yeah. So yeah, the 2 children and loads of grandchildren, and she truly left her mark. And so I was honored to be her friend for 60 years. Yeah.
Wow.
Nice,
Wow.
nice.
I was honored. So yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And her mother is still living. And this is the 8th of 10 children that she will bury.
Wow.
And
Wow.
so, and she has lost 8 of her children. So, and she's just, she knows God. The reading says, I don't just know about you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Her mama didn't just know about God.
Mm-hmm.
She has a relationship with God.
Yes.
And so therein lies the truth of our being, not just knowing some facts about God, knowing and having a relationship. And she truly has one. So
Yeah, that's beautiful.
yeah. So thank you all. I just wanted to come in and say hi and thanks. And I'll see you later. Okay.
Thank you.
Love you. Love you too.
Well. So now we're just waiting on Miss Pamela Ferrell to come on. And I am so excited. I have been talking about you ladies, you sisters, the whole month since I.
And my ears been ringing. That's what that was.
I said, my girls are coming on. And the only one that I have not personally met, like touched, is Cheryl. But I know her father, and whenever we have communicated, it's been just like we, hugged and stuff. So here's a big hug for you. Joanne and I
Go way back.
Okay, I'm gonna tell y'all, Joanne and I have slept together. Oh,
I'm gonna get that on the download.
I know her. No. So when we would have Joanne, Dr. Joanne Cornwell is the creator of Sister Locks, and
wow.
So and I was one of her first students in the beginning. So we would have if I came there. Well, she doesn't have a link. Okay. If I would go there to California, we would be hanging out and stuff. And sometimes I think I stayed at your house one time, right?
I think so.
I think when the court thing was going on, I stayed at your house. And they still have conferences every year. And in the beginning, I was going to all of them. And then we would have regional conferences, Sister Lock conferences here. And of course, we would just share a room and hang out, and it would be just a blast of a time. So she's
Yeah,
a very good
you
friend of
think
mine.
about those times when both of us were struggling, trying to get to the next level and the next level. And it's like, it was just joy though,
Yeah, it was just fun. Mm-hmm.
I kind of miss those days. Things are getting, bigger. There's more people involved and, you got to delegate and all this kind of stuff. I think you were always better than I have ever been in that type of thing.
I don't know.
I've always admired that about you and Sheila's always been somebody who followed her heart, in whatever she put her energy into. So that has always come across. I always loved that about you, Miss Thing.
Miss Thang. Yeah. Well, you're a pioneer as far as I'm concerned. We'll talk about a little bit more on that in a second. Somebody's trying to get in and call not connecting. What?
Might be having internet issues.
Yeah.
Grand Rising, Lolly.
Yeah, Lolly, you get to talk for a minute while I handle this other stuff. This is
Oh,
Lolly.
okay.
She's another partner. Danni opened up and she had to leave Lolly because of the funeral and stuff.
Okay.
This
Well,
number
hello.
doesn't work. How come it works for everybody else? And so go ahead while I handle this right here.
Okay. All right. Well, Grand Risings, ladies. I'm grateful today. I'm just extremely grateful. I know this week you haven't seen me as much pop in because I've been out of town. I was actually in New Orleans. We were celebrating, of course, Mardi Gras, but also, performances and everything else happening. So I've been running. We just got back. And it was, I will say the greatest thing about coming back, like late last night, I got back in like 3 a.m. The greatest thing was I went to check my mailbox and Mama Evelyn had a nice little package in there for me. And I opened it and it was so much it was like an inspirational note. And I was like, oh, and then you keep looking at another one and oh, then you open up some more and then there's another one. And I'm like, then you open up and it was like all the little, she got me some little earrings and I was like, oh, I was happy. I was already happy, but I felt loved. And so I just want to share, I love this platform because, not because you get free gifts, but because, but because there's genuine love and care here. And specifically those earrings were they had permission to lollygag on there, which was a project that I'm working on. So it was yeah. It was really great.
You're so special.
I know. I felt like a little girl. Oh, thank you. So I'm grateful about that. I'm also grateful to be here just in general today, and that I was able to travel safely because we drove. So I'm glad we were able to get here, and I'm really excited for our conversations and everything as throughout this time today. I don't have as much prepared as I usually do, but I will say one last thing though. I found this book called Your Purpose is Calling, and I didn't buy it because it was like $30 and I had already overspent, but I had an audio book and I listened to that while I was driving back up here. And I'm gonna have to buy the book so I can pull out specific quotes because baby, that book is so inspiring. And I definitely want us to talk about it later. So be looking for that. That is all.
Thank you. Mama Evelyn, what are you burning?
Oh, some sage. I got up and did my reading, the first chapter of A Course in Miracles, and yeah. I didn't need an alarm to wake up this morning. Even though I went to bed late, but yeah.
I got up early this morning and when you just laying there and so you might as well just get your butt on up and get something done. So I've been up So after this, I'm going to crash. This weekend is Sky Covington's.
Oh yeah, you need to rest.
Yeah. What's the name of her show?
The Dows, the something Dows, right?
Satin Dolls.
The Satin
Thank
Dolls.
you.
The Satin Dolls
Satin
review.
Dolls.
Oh, let me come on. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The Satin Dolls review.
Yeah, and so that's going to be really, it really is good. The singers and the show is hot. It is really hot. So Pamela, she'll be on at 9 o'clock. Yeah, we'll see her at 9. She has a daughter that, you know, she has to get prepared and such, and who is a miracle. She'll share that about her daughter and such. So I don't know why I'm getting this, that the Zoom is not working. I just sent it on. I'm not gonna worry about it. Who is here is here. So anyway, so throughout the conversation, I'm sure Joanne and I will be throwing different times when we remember this and remember that. And what was so cool was that after our conference, when it was here, we would do this pamper thing and just, you know, just get pampered. We have a room, we stay an extra day, and it was just so much fun, so much fun.
I had never done anything like that before you kind of introduced that. I was so driven, you know, that if I wasn't working, you know, at my day job, I was trying to do hair at night and, you know, trying to figure out what to do, whatever. I had never just said, this day's for me. I'm gonna get a, you know, a massage or something like that. I'm still not that good at it, but you know, hearing you
Either
about it, I
I don't take
remember
that time.
it was like just standing in a waterfall and just having the water just run over you. It was wonderful.
Yeah.
I'm really an advocate for that, even when I still don't do it often enough.
Mhm. Me too. So if you could share, Joanne, go ahead and share about Sister Locks and how you came up with the technique and yeah, go ahead. Dr.
Well,
Joanne Cornwell.
you know, when I think that it's been 30 years, it's just in disbelief. I cannot register that. But you know, and so I have to realize that people look at Sister Locks like, you know, this established corporation, and you know, they think a lot more than what's going on. They think we're huge and got all these, you know, driving around in some big car or something. I don't know. But 30 years is no small thing. It's no small thing. You know, we're trying to do some special things this year to celebrate. But when I look back at the beginnings and, you know, what set that off, it was really kind of my quest for coming to terms with this. You know, I come from, I like to say, a long line of beauty culturists. You know, my grandmother was taught in the C.J. Walker tradition. She called herself a beauty culturist. And I didn't really know what that meant. And as I learned more and more about that tradition, I thought, wow, you know, I didn't have to do anything to inherit this kind of, I don't know what to call it, this sensibility about Black women and the way that we walk through our lives and what we cause to happen when we walk in a room, you know, when we're in relationships, when we're making sure families are staying together, you know. And that growing realization really helped me in the beginning when I didn't know what to do. I had never really seen locks. You know, I went to a conference a couple of years in a row. This conference I would go to every year, but this one year I saw this sister with locks, maybe shoulder length, kind of salt and pepper. And, you know, she wasn't trying to be all fancy or anything. She was just genuinely a beautiful sister. And I was struck, as I'm sure, you know, half the people around her were struck, because you never saw that. You never saw locks. And then the next year I saw her again and they were, you know, 4, 5, 6 inches longer. And I just went, oh man, I gotta have this. And you know, it took me 2 years before I even started experimenting because of all the stuff, all the conversations in my head about nappy hair and what's so-and-so gonna think about it, and all this kind of stuff. It took me 2 years before I would even try experimenting. But when I started experimenting, I had this, and I have to say, Dr. Morrow, Willie Morrow, was very instrumental in inspiring me to research and look at things closely. Because I don't know, Sheila, you know how he was, and Cheryl, of course you do. He was very not pretentious, and he was always running scenarios in his head. And if you told him about something, he was 3, 4 steps ahead of you, almost
Right.
maddeningly. you know? And so I started telling him what I was trying to do. I want to get these locks, Mr. Moore, but I don't want them big. I want them really small, because if they're small, you could style them like you could style any any natural hair. And the things that we're after when we straighten our hair, it's the versatility, it's the stylability. And I knew that if you made the small locks, that you could get that level of stylability. And so he encouraged me to, look, and I was trying to describe to him what I was trying to do, and he would give me feedback, and lights would start going on. And I have to attribute him not literally to the discovery but to the inspiration and encouraging, kind of guiding my mind to the kind of questioning that's going to end up with something. And it really did. The technique that I ended up with, I mean, shocked myself.
Yeah.
I shocked myself. I got out of the shock because I thought, if you go in the shower and you come out and it's still in there, then I'm onto something. So I came out of the shower, you should have seen me. Just look. Wow, it's a real thing. This is a real thing. So it was a process. It took me, after the couple of years, to get up the courage to try locks. Because it wasn't like New York or, even Detroit, probably back then you were seeing locks. But San Diego, oh no, you never saw anything. So after a couple of years itself, but I have to tell you something. I'm getting a thing that my internet connection is unstable. So if I go out, I'll come back on a different system. So, okay. I did not see myself starting a business and developing the sister locks concept and all this kind of stuff. I saw myself giving this idea and technique to the natural hair professionals who were already out there. So I started reaching, because by that time I was a young professor. I was really, like that knee deep in work anyway, and I was fine doing hair, just like we all do at night and trying to supplement income and stuff like that. But I never saw myself running a business, eventually, a growing company and all this responsibility. I didn't see that at all. But do you know what? When I was traveling around, I went to San Francisco, I dropped in on salons there. I went to New York. I went to several of their hair salons. They didn't want to give me the time of day. Not the time of day. They were not the least bit interested in what I was doing, except to try to steal it for their own stuff. Because later on, because I went to like a Braiders Network conference or whatever. And that's when you started seeing other natural hair professionals coming up with things like interlocking and stuff like that. It's all based on sister locks. It's all based on sister locks. But at the time, I couldn't even give this away. And that's why I just decided, well, it's got to manifest. I can't say it's got to manifest. It manifested. And I was charged with shepherding into the world. And I just knew I had to learn what I needed to learn, do what I needed to do, because this thing was destined to become global and really significant on a cultural level. So it was almost like I was given a responsibility. And quite honestly, it was it was a heavy weight on me. I would say for the first 10 years, I was stressed beyond belief. Because I had to do this. I had to learn what I needed to learn. I had to be ready, for people who are going to come at me. It's like I had to remake myself so that I was good enough to carry this thing forward. And I have to say that changed over the years. I learned how to walk with this calling more gracefully. And it has definitely turned into something that has greatly enhanced my life. And I'm just in awe when I'm able to, just kind of see and get feedback on what Sister Locks is doing for our women, mostly our women, our men too, occasionally. And I don't just mean people getting Sister Locks, but they're starting their own businesses. They're able to provide things for their families that would have been out of reach had they not gone down this road. They're into self-celebration, and they're kind of helping with a kind of message of uplift, not just, I'm going to do your hair, but, let's look at what brought us together and, what we can do moving forward for each other, our families. It's just been a wonderful experience. So when I talk about Sister Locks and how it came to be and all of that, it almost never is specifically about the technique. The technique is part of it, but it's almost like the technique is a vehicle to kind of connect with all the other things that are important in life. And for that, I am truly grateful. I still work like a dog.
Are you still doing them, servicing clients?
No, it's been several years that I haven't. I got out of that reluctantly because I love that. I love doing the hair and that. But it's time consuming. And unless it's your main thing, then it just means, your days end up being 18-hour days. And it's only been so long I was willing to do that. So the last customers I held on to were family members and, just, a friend or two. But now I don't do anyone's hair at all except mine. That's a handful right there.
Yeah. Ooh. She has very, very thick hair. She's probably got, I would say twice as much, but I shaved, I shaved. I saved.
Yeah. Coming up, I never really thought of that as a blessing or an attribute, but when I realized, I came to the realization that locking was what our hair naturally wants to do. And then worked on the technique of Sister Locks, I realized, the best of all possible hair types for what I'm trying to do. Right. As a matter, I thought that all Black women had, like a lot of people, I just thought, well, this is us, this is our hair type, and we got this kind of hair. And when I started exploring with the technique, we've got such a range. Who am I telling, Sheila? And depending on what attributes their hair brings, then you got to do things a little bit differently.
Yeah. I call Sister Locks the best of both worlds.
I like that.
You have your hair in locks, but you can still have that look, and curl them and all that. And then I learned more as we went along that you can do them no matter what size the locks are. The traditional locks and all of that. So it's like you're only limited with our hair. We're only limited to our creativity and our stylists.
Yeah.
Like that. One of the things that what I noticed about, I consider Joanne a modern day Madam C.J. Walker. The reason being is that, so here's my story. I'm 70. I just turned 70. I have lots
I
of
got you
stories.
by how many years? You still a baby in my house, so
I have lots of
you gotta
stories.
do what I say.
So I think it was the first conference. I wanted Joanne to come to Detroit. And we missed that early bird where you got a good discount on the ticket. So the ticket was like $500 and something. And I'm sitting there and I'm looking at Mama and I'm saying, oh, 500 and something. Oh my God. Then I looked down into the salon and 4 of my stylists were doing sister locks. I realized how much money was coming into my establishment as a result of what Joanne created. I looked there and I said, get the ticket, just get the ticket. And then, I don't know if you remember when I was introducing you or something, and I had looked and I had said over 1,000 people at that point had sister locks, and people that I had trained over 100 people by that time. So I knew that you were empowering, that particular technique was empowering many people, brothers and sisters, to bring in money for their own families. So that's why I call her the modern day Madam C.J. Walker, because she created a system where if you just took the training and learned how to do that, and the follow-up and the care and the whole piece of, you get, whether you were a stylist or you was a client, you could call Joanne and deal with whatever you had to deal with. If there was issues with your hair, this is not working out. I remember the first one that I had, the first client that I did, her hair would start coming out. It would bald. We cut that part. It would find another area to start breaking out. That was, anyway. And so I said, well, you call her, but the whole system, the way you had put the company together was very serving. It was very accommodating to everyone. And I know you heard a lot of complaints, and I know you had a lot of glory as well. But yeah, so to me, modern day C.J. Walkers who empower us to make money. And so I thank you for that, Joanne.
No, thank you. Thank everyone. It's been very, very gratifying. I wouldn't recommend it as a business model because C.J. Walker had the part where she gets paid a little better figured out than I did.
Well, when you switch to having where we was out there doing our own thing, training, and when you switch to that, the training would come from Sister Locks, from the home base. That was one of the smartest moves. And I told you, I said, that's a business move. It didn't benefit me because I was making some money.
Right.
But it was a smart move.
We had to do something because the mentality was we succeed because our consultants succeed.
Yes.
And we still hang on to that to a certain extent.
Mm-hmm.
But because still I don't get a thing when people do sister locks. It's really them. It's really to their, to enrich their lives and things like that. Yeah. So we did have to kind of, rely more heavily on training and control of the training, and that, can't complain. I figure I would have worked really hard at anything in my life. I'm just glad that it was this, because has been so rewarding in so many ways.
Yes. Ari? Is that Ari, Sean?
Mm-hmm.
That has a question or a comment? Hey, brother.
Must be
I don't know,
mute.
we can't hear you.
Is he on mute?
It doesn't say he's on mute.
Huh.
I think he's still having
Trying to figure it out.
issue.
Can't hear you. I see cousin Bob has dropped in, and my good friend Tondo Kafele. Well, when you get that together, then then jump in, because we can't hear you right now. Well, along with that, thank you, Joanne. And I want to introduce to you also Cheryl Morrow. And Cheryl is Willie Morrow's daughter. And I don't know, was there more than, is it just you, Cheryl, or did you have brothers and sisters?
Yeah, I had one older brother,
Okay.
which is deceased, and I got a spoiled little sister.
Okay. So here's my relationship with Willie is that I lived in San Diego, California, and Willie had a barber shop. He cut my hair. My first, when I cut my hair down, and he was the one who cut my hair. What was that? What was that street that he was on? It was that Market?
Yes.
On Market Street. Wow. Wow. And but Willie Morrow, he went around and taught in the military. He taught them all. He went around and he taught them how to cut our hair, how to deal with our textured hair. And he did also, he has a museum of lots of artifacts that what we used in our hair. And if you're ever in California and go to Lemon Grove, is it still there? When I went, it was at his house. He had put it in the house, the one that, not the traveling one, but the one that he has.
Well, it's all travelable. And so they all leave from his property. So
Okay.
it just disperses, but to in a viewable sense, it just stays compacted, and then whoever wants to come and choose whatever exhibit they want to exhibit, or depending on what story they want to tell. Yeah. It's all there.
But I mean, I was able to physically walk through there and see all the things. It was unpacked or whatever, but yeah, I was able to go there, and the work that he did, and bringing forth the Afro pick and all of that. So I want to just, thank you for coming on.
Absolutely.
Oh, you're over here now. I want to thank you for coming on, and not only if you want to share something about your dad, but definitely about how you are carrying on and how you work with your dad. So let's just give a hand clap for Cheryl.
Thank you. Thank you. It's interesting to to sit and listen as an heir of all of your work, and Doc included, and being able to experience it from a generation that is experiencing it as it bloomed.
Yes.
And so even though, because I remember when I was in New York, I remembered my dad calling me and telling me about Dr. Cornwell, because all of that was happening at the time when I was in New York. And I remember him telling me stories about the mind science that Dr. Cornwell and all of you, and I think I spoke to you, Ms. Hale, maybe a couple of times, but it was fascinating for another generation to witness all of the unfolding of your thought process and how you guys went about it. Because of course I was a little girl when my own father was dealing with in the ranks of the Broners or a Dudley or a Gardner, and and all those things, and how it just all unfolded. And I think my biggest challenge today is being able to now, the millennial generation, unfortunately, how disconnected
Yeah.
The just the once when you talk about inheriting something, we always only deal with the issue. I mean, the objects, property, car, whatever the case may be, but the important thing is that you hope that they inherit the passion and the drive and the purpose of why things like Six Deluxe and other processes and products and formulas and whatever that is, to be able to be a witness to the mind science of how it all comes and why it needs to be done. And I think that unfortunately, the millennial and then the Gen Z generation and then the Y2K natural generation, they don't have the connection. And so it is important for me to listen and to be able to forge this conversation and just being and so I'm fortunate to have just been around, all of this wonderful mind science and I want to do this. And I do agree with you, Dr. Cornwell. Most trailblazers don't know what the hell they're doing.
Right.
They don't, that's not, and that's for a reason, because if you knew, you probably wouldn't do it. And so just enjoying and watching and being able to have a front row seat into some of the greatest African-American beauty business, entrepreneurship, and the techniques and the bravery and the courage. And so right now, it's just a matter of us connecting and getting the story straight, because it's disjointed. And so I'm enjoying telling it from that front row seat. And it's been interesting, to say the least.
Yeah, because Cheryl, it's so important, and that before we leave Earth, all of us, like Ari and Tondo, Kafele, Bob Johnson, some of these are on here, that we all tell the story, because I love it when it comes from the ones who actually did it. I went to a conference and I was telling them, I was naming all these people. Them kids did not know who the hell they were. Who? They didn't know who I was, what I did. And I call myself, when I'm teaching, I said, matter of fact, I am part of history, but they didn't have no idea of what we did. And they were saying things like, so-and-so she created this. And that was like 30 years later. Said, we better write this story. We better get it straight before we leave Earth. Somebody needs to take that on.
Well, I was talking to Bernard Bronner, and you don't realize, we've gotten kind of in our 50s, 60s. And so, and as kids, as the kids of all the most trailblazers, and one, I was somewhere at some university, and one girl stood up and said, well, if you guys made so much money and we guys were so successful, blah, 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 like, where are the kids? Like, where are the heirs? Why aren't they coming forth? Or just telling the story. And I think that every race and culture it is important that the story is told, if not the trailblazer themselves, if they don't happen to get their life documented in books or, as they say, Wikipedia. But I do think it's important to recognize that they are not supposed to know if we didn't tell them. And so, and I try to at least join professors like you guys have, her name is Beth. She tells a wonderful story, and it's on YouTube, and it's about the morale. I think it's called, it's a lecture called The Morale of the Military. And I had not even seen that video until a wonderful hairstylist and beauty professional named LaDosha Wright out of Ohio, Cleveland, Ohio, had did her movie called The Narrative. And so my goal here is to join with those, you know, beauty professionals that do get it, and to do films, do books, and do things of that nature. And of course, when you guys were dealing with the Sisterlock movement, you know, media and press didn't pick it up. And so I tried now, because of course, you know, my dad left a newspaper. And so it's important that we get into the media and we make sure that we document it. And so that's one of the things that just after my dad's passing, you know, I am trying to accumulate the documentation and to tell the story as it actually really happened. Because if we don't, as you see, as Black Hair Care is the dilemma it's in now, is solely because each generation, each 25 years, we're starting over. We're starting over, and in a climate in terms of what other cultures do in terms of generational wealth and whatever that word is. It's a buzzword now, but we can't afford to keep starting over. And so, you know, yeah, it's quite intense. Trying to do two things at once, trying to untell it and then retell it. And that is what my challenge is in trying to make sure that every state in the union and abroad into the world, because the world also in the continent of Africa and African people in South America and the Caribbean and Canada and Asia and Europe, they want to know, but it's such a process of trying to reorganize the bad information or the myths or whatever the case may be. You got to get all that stuff out of the way, right? And then you got to kind of pour back in and actually get the times, dates, cities, who, where, the right names, calling things, you know, yeah, so it's a task.
Ari, did you figure it out? I can see some that you're on mute. You want to try again? Unmute yourself.
Can you unmute him?
I can unmute him.
Just request.
I can ask him.
Okay, I tried again.
Go.
Whoops. Good new day, everyone. Beautiful Queens. Oh, I'm loving it. Bob's trying to get on too. You know, I want to share something that this thing psychologically, in terms of, you know, loving and hating our hair, it is so deep that it's still there. And that's the thing that just hurts my heart. But it's such a deep thing that happened. Dr. Willie Morrow made such a great statement at the beginning of the film, 400 Years Without a Comb, when he said, I'm bringing you the planting of the inferior seed. That's such a profound statement.
Yes.
And,
yes.
you know, a metaphor.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that if we just can get that really deep into our mind, that the planting of that seed, and it's grown over the years and years and years. So now it's still there.
Yeah. And I have to say, talking to him alone on Saturdays and just getting into his mind space, you know, by virtue, when you create an inferior seed, there's always an opposite, that the notion that there is a superior seed. And the book 400 Years Without a Comb is definitely a book on mental health. Most people don't see it that way, but it is mental health. And when you, and of course, the Western world and the Western thought always personifies something just to give it identity. And I know the challenges, Dr. Cornwell and Sheila, the challenges of trying to deal with natural hair and what that it means to the Western world. You know, the challenge ultimately, if we can get down to really what it was about, is just trying to put someone else's capital asset value on something that they didn't have. And so when you go into the real mental challenges that Black people's hair was even on a tobacco product, or it was on a box of rice, or it's on, you know, and that's what Dr. Morrow was trying to convey, is that, you know, the whole value system of what someone's persona and image is to do for them, no matter what market it's in, it's supposed to come from the innateness of who that person is. And so most people, and so when I discuss 400 Years Without a Comb and why, you know, Dad wanted to create that whole book series, it's a book on mental health of Black people in the midst of a world that is trying to put a capital asset value on on you, so they can sell you, you know, at what, you know, they want to put the value, you know, they want to buy you at what they think you're worth, and then sell you on what you think you're worth. And so I'm worth $1 million. Let's just say I'm worth $1 million, but they don't want to buy you at $1 million. They want to buy you at $1. And so 40 Years Without a Comb is truly a book on the mental health, you know, of a Black person as they came to the Western world.
I'm sitting here I just want to jump in and just, you know, second that everything you're saying, because it is so true. And it's, but the thing is, it's embedded in our culture. Individual people don't realize the extent to which we're being used. You know, I have often said that Black people are the easiest people in the world to exploit. And, you know, part of it has to do with the blind spot we have about our own history, and the fact that we don't sustain our stories. Yeah. But, you know, there are a whole lot of reasons for that. One thing I wanted to say, because you brought up so many good points. One, I hope that Pamela Ferrell will be able to come on, because, yeah, there she is. Hey, Pam. Because when you were talking about the ability to get publicity around our story, et cetera, I think Pamela Ferrell and Taladin Ukta, her husband, were very successful in doing just that during the 80s through the 2010s-ish. You often, and that was because they partnered with law firms, they developed, you know, I'm sure Pamela can speak to this. But despite that conversation got a lot of press, as you pointed out, you know, 20 years later, we're dealing with a generation that doesn't know what they don't know. And so, and one of the challenges, and I'm not going to ramble because I really want to hear what Pamela has to say too. One of the challenges in trying to outreach to the public, et cetera, most of the time you don't get paid. And people, you know, people like books to put on their shelves, but they don't read books. You know, they want them free online, right? So you have to have another source to sustain yourself in order to even think about doing this outreach on any level that is going to get seen and heard. And so many of us have to focus on, you know, feed our families and, you know, things more local. And that is definitely one of the challenges. We don't have the institutions. And your newspaper is a glaring exception to that. That's the type of thing that we need to see more of. So anyway, hi, Pam.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, Pam. How are you? This
Good.
is
Thank you.
Pamela Ferrell from Cornrows and Company in Washington, D.C. And thank you for coming on. And you
My
want to say
pleasure.
something, share, or you want to kick back and listen for a minute, find out where, well, basically, let me start here. First, let me back up. Cheryl, were you complete with your sharing? I know we're going to still talk about some more things.
Absolutely.
And I do
I
want to
just
talk
wanted to-
about, I want to talk about after Pamela talks, I want to talk about one time I talked to you about the language that we're using and how you are working with other cosmetologists and how we describe our hair, and you wanted it to be more, not just, you know, but scientifically, how do we describe our hair? How should we, so that we understand it even better than we do now? Pamela?
Yes. So you're talking about I call it my circle hair system. And this was something I discovered some years back. In fact, it was interesting because you know how we have conversations with God. And I was having a conversation with God that I was done. You know, I've done my work and, you know, I don't want to do hair anymore and ready to exit. And then lo and behold, I was blow drying a customer's hair. And I looked on the floor and there were these perfect circles. I mean, it was just, I was mesmerized by it. And so, you know, when I looked at it, I said, well, my hair is, you know, these circles, why don't we call it that? Because that, to me, that's always been an issue in our community. We have all these names for our hair and people are coming out with hair typing systems that are just not factual. And so that was really important for me. And I didn't know, but it is what I used in my last case with the United States Army. So I didn't talk about race, didn't talk about anything but hair. Because what happens, and now this in particular was a hair discrimination case, but you know, and so what they do is they create policies around hair. And so that's really what the conversation needs to be about, because when you start talking about other things, race, you know, people aren't really hearing you anymore. And so it was successful. They got it. They totally got it, you know, because one thing with circle hair is most of the people in the world have circle hair. They're just different sizes. And the size of the circle determines whether your hair looks wavy, whether it looks straight, or, you know, and the smallest circle that I collected, because I started collecting hair from people. And when I had clients travel around the world, I would have them collect hair. But I had a little boy come in from South Africa who was with the SAN people, SAN. And his circle size, I used the point unit system that we use for fonts. So if I said to you, you know, when you type up a document and you use a 12-point font, well, that's the measurement system that I use because everyone's familiar with that. So his hair was at 8-point, and that's the smallest size that I've collected so far. And the tribe that he is from, which is the same as Nelson Mandela, they geneticists have found that they have the oldest DNA that is still found in modern humans. So the way I look at this, that's the first hair, you know, until we find something else. And so when you look at other hair typing systems, for example, this 4C, you know, that made up system, number 1 is straight hair and number 4 is circle hair. And it's just not true. In fact, it's upside down. Circle hair is the first and everything comes from that. And, you know, I've even been able to look at, I would collect hair from for example, an African woman whose husband was Caucasian. And you will see how that hair morphs and that circle size expands. Even in my family, you know, my husband and I both African-American, my point size is 28. And I don't know what Taladine's point size is, but my son's is 48 and my daughter is 125.
Really?
I mean, you know, so when I look at that, you see what I'm saying? I mean, her hair has morphed to this really big circle. If you look at her hair, it looks wavy, almost straight. And so the point I was making is that, you know, hair, you know, that's a name for it. And the shape of hair determines the characteristics, and the characteristics determine the styles that are compatible with it. And so that leads us into the styles that we wear, you know, braids and twists and locks. These styles are compatible with our hair. So when we wear these and then we open businesses to, you know, do these styles, that's when the hair discrimination, then the next level moves to, you know, first they went after the wearer, and now they're going after the person that provides the service. And also to, you know, again, there's multiple layers to this because we're talking economic liberty. You know, not only are we being empowered by wearing our hair in these hairstyles that are compatible for our hair and that are, you know, traditional hairstyles that have a long history, but we are empowering our communities where they become independent. Mm-hmm. And, you know, we open businesses, we employ people. And when you employ people, you know, they see you're an example, they're inspired to go and open businesses. And, you know, people don't want to see that. And basically when they were trying to shut down braiding salons and people offering these natural hair care services, it was the cosmetology industry that felt threatened by this. Mm-hmm. And boards were made up of cosmetologists. Right. I mean, I served on the Barber and Cosmetology Board, and all the members on the board own salons. So, you know, it was to their benefit to try to, you know, squash their competition. And we were competition. Mm-hmm.
That's right.
And, you know, it's interesting when you talked about the history, because, you know, we all got a long history here. And I'm so happy that we are doing it, as Joanne said, is that, you know, we've got to get this out there because people are out there creating things, not realizing all the work that we've done to make it possible for them to do the things that they're doing. You know, and I just think, I mean, with all of us, I mean, it's, you know, for me, I love learning history so that I can put all this in perspective. And I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel. If somebody has done something, and especially if they've done it right, we want to know that. And even when you make mistakes, we want to know that, mm-hmm. so that we can learn how to improve. And the thing I tell young people, the reason, you know, it's important for me to share this with you is because I don't want you to repeat what we did. It took years, and that's the story people don't know, the years that it took to change these state laws. In some states like Texas and even Mississippi took 20 years. You know, the Cornrows and Company, the fight that we had, it took 10 years. Mm-hmm. And that's what people don't know. And so, I mean, you know, we went the distance. We went the distance. And as you were saying, no one was paying us at the time to do this. You know, we did it because it was important. We did it because we knew in the future, it was going to empower others to open these businesses and to become self-sufficient.
Yeah. I really want to thank you, Pamela and Taladine, because I really, in Detroit, in Michigan, that was something else. And I was not expecting it to be like that. You know, I'm not really a political person. Right. And when we would go up there and have a discussion, and then we would come back, and a week later, I would find out that they've changed something and they didn't tell me nothing, or I read something and it would, the way they were talking about us was like we were second and third, fourth class, you know. Who's gonna teach them how to answer a phone? Answer a phone? I need to go to cosmetology from school so I can answer a phone.
Yeah, or
it was ridiculous. Some of the things that they were coming up to come against us. And what hurt me was our cosmetologists that were the Wolverines that were coming against us and trying to, you know, take me to lunch and stuff and tell me that that guy Talib Dean, you need to to get rid of him.
Stay away from him.
That's when I knew I had the right person, because they wanted to get rid. But
you all called him the Godfather. You all called him the Godfather of braids.
That's what I did. Yep. Godfather.
Man, he was a bulldog, you know, and he had to go straight gangster on some of these people in California. Man, you know, one of the things that he and I are talking about is doing a documentary to talk about the different states, because he knows the details. He's the one in, and I mean, he can tell you some stories that'll really just break your heart, particularly in terms of, you know, our own people that were in those positions to, you know, affect change. And they set up the biggest roadblocks, you know, but he can give you the details of these different states and, you know, how he was able to make it happen. You know, now in Michigan, interested, and that was April of 1997. Listen, 97. He had a book with all the details. I just happened to pull this thing out today because I was like, I don't remember dates or nothing, you know, and he just has everything just kind of written out here. Who the bill was. Representative Varga is now proposing to include hair braiders within the definition of college. I mean, he's got all the details. But one thing got right eventually, and it was based on, you know, us being there at the table and really being persistent. What they got right was they created a license. I think Michigan's the only state where they gave braiders a choice. If you want to call you a professional, you can go and get a license, a braider's license. And if you don't have to get a braider's license.
Right.
You know,
voluntary, not mandatory.
Yes. So that's the only state that has done that. Now, other states, for example, California, Maryland, hair braiders are exempt. So the only thing you have to do if you're going to open a business is get a business license. You don't have to go and get a cosmetology license. Now, and to that point, in the state of Maryland, and this is why it's important that we really get this information out there to, you know, we need to just get it out there so folk know. So in the state of Maryland, so they were one of the first states that passed exemption. Well, I would say it was maybe about 4 or 5 years ago, a young woman was a cosmetologist, African-American. She went down to the state representative and asked them to change it back, forcing hair braiders to go to cosmetology school. And the reason she did it was because that was her competition. A lot of braiding salons had opened up in Maryland, in the area that she was at. A lot of them were owned by you know, women from Africa. And she went there and she had a cosmetology instructor's license. And she worked for a product manufacturer. So she wanted to force these braiders to have to come and take a braiding course from her. And I will tell you, we put the word out to the braiders in the African community. And within 48 hours, they had like 200 braiders down there, you know, speaking before the representative that was proposing to change this law again. So the point I'm making that
I applaud that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it just, I was just angry. Like, how dare you do this? Do you know the work that we've done? Do you know what this has done for, our communities. And so, but folk need to know that when we're not around, trust me, someone's coming back to change these laws. Yeah. Just like we're doing right now with the Voting Rights Act, so they're changed, laws can be changed. And so we have to really inform people, why it's important that they know about how these laws, were passed, the history of that, so that it doesn't happen again.
So we can't get comfortable and go to sleep.
No. And we do the work. We're continuing to do the work. And as Joanne said, it takes time, it takes money. I mean, I have all of these projects that I think are very important that I need to do. But it's, I'm one person. And but they're all necessary. I mean, one of the things, as you all have heard recently, is this the FDA's finding that hair relaxers cause uterine cancer in African American women. And I've written about this in my books, but one of the projects that I just haven't been able to get around to, and I've been talking about it for years, is I get the kitty perms off the shelves. We are the only group of people that they sell hair chemicals to our children. And so if we're knowing now that it causes uterine cancer, you're basically talking genocide. So I mean that's a that I think is really important. But again, time, we're just fighting. We're fighting all these battles, But when you look at African Americans in its totality, I like to think of us as survivors. If you think about where we've come from and what we built, and when we build things, people, they burn them down. We can build cities. They burn them down, but we keep coming back. So, we're resilient. We're brilliant. We're all of these things. But we really have to, our history is important, and it has to come from us. It can't come from the curriculum in school, because there's no motivation to use history to really empower our people and empower our communities.
Ashe, thank you. Yeah, every time when I talk to Pam's, I just walk away like with so much to think about.
I know.
Yeah, I call you and Talib, my natural hair godparents. Y'all, because I would call, and what I remember Talib saying, I said, I'm going to open a salon and all that kind of stuff. And he told me exactly what I was going to do. You're going to make your decisions based on what you would like as a braider. And I did, not as a business, but, oh, yeah, we don't need to pay that much booth rent. We can just do it like this. He got it right. He got it right. And so anyway, I was always able to call you and talk to you about anything that was going on. So I want to thank you for that. I see some.
Y'all need to stay in touch and communicate, And now it's a little easier than, of course, can you remember back in 1990, I think it was 6 or 93, when you all had to fly here for the summit, the first American Hair Braiders Natural Hair Care Association. So we don't have to do that. We can be on Zoom. Yeah. Really stay connected so that we can we all know what's going on and continue to do the work the best we can.
Yes. So somebody wanted to say something.
Just a quick comment. The challenge of social media is a real thing, and we've it's a blessing and a curse. It feeds into people's perception that you can just click and you get what you want. And it also keeps people from going places to get information. They want everything brought to them. By the same token, it has the potential of reaching so many, just many, many times more people in the long run. So as we move forward and think about things like summits, and I think that's a wonderful idea. It was so enriching to me.
Oh God, oh my God. You know, and I got videos and photographs and
yeah. But we're gonna have to do it a little bit differently this time.
yes. Well, we let's talk about it and let's do it, because I really think it's important.
Yeah, absolutely. So Joanne, you have a Sister Locks is doing a cruise, right?
Yeah, we're gonna cruise. This is our 30th year. And so right around Christmas season, right squarely over the Christmas weekend, we're doing a 7-day cruise. And we're going to the Eastern Caribbean, and there are 2 places where we have Sister Locks, small Sister Locks communities. So we're going to hook up with people when we're, you know, the day that they give you in each port or whatever. And we're going to use this 30th year as an excuse to show up places and do things online and start enlivening the message and the celebration of natural hair as much as we can. So yeah, we're really excited about that. Okay, and let's see what else.
You know, I am so proud and excited when I see Sister Locks all over the world.
Crazy, it's crazy.
It is so inspiring, you know, and you have done a fantastic job, Joanne. I mean, take thing global.
Thank you. I can't take all the credit. You know what? The fact is, I'm a workaholic, and I'm in my office in front of my computer most of my life.
Me too.
So I don't call myself a workaholic. I call myself.
So it's like I don't, when I'm in settings like this, it feels kind of, it makes me nervous, because this is not what I live on a daily basis.
We got to get out more, girl.
I know, I got to get out more. Thank you so much for that, though. It means the world to me, Pam.
Oh, God. So proud.
So we'll open it up a little bit. I see that Anita Hill is on with us. Bad braids, braids and dreads. Are you able to pop on, Anita? Who is the founder and creator of.
Hey guys.
Hey.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you something. I'm like, I was getting ready for work this morning, and Kafele shared.
Can you come on camera, sweetheart?
No, I can't come on camera because
okay,
I'm
we saw you earlier.
Yeah, I was listening and then I looked at the time and I said, oh my God, I have to get to the shop. So I just got out of the shower, so I can't come on camera. But I just wanted to say this is amazing because I guess every time something's meant to be, God allows it to happen, because I didn't know anything about this Zoom that was going on until I got a link from Kafele, and actually I was just on checking emails and it came through my notifications, and I just clicked on it when I saw Sheila, and I said, oh wow, so I'm gonna listen while I get ready for work. And so far, this is amazing, because I just want to say real quickly, I don't want to take up too much time. We all come from different generations and have come up at different time periods during all of our natural hair journeys, whether it's been our own personal journey or throughout our careers. I came up under the tutelage of Marion Council George. And so Marion is the one. If it weren't for Marion, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing today. And so now I've been in this industry now for 30 years, and I've made a great living doing this, and I've expanded in different areas as well. But the point that I would like to make is that history is so important, and everything you guys have said are important. You guys have a wealth of information that generations to come will not know, and it will get lost if something's not done. And so, and we all have different opinions about how we go about things. But I think the one thing that we do have in common is that this information needs to be shared. People need to know who the trailblazers are, and people need to know who the pioneers are. People need to know who was the first person to start and get legislation passed. People need to know this. And so this is one of the reasons, and Sheila can attest to it, is one of the reasons why I started the Master Pioneer Award, because I was at an event and there was a young lady, she was talking about natural hair and who she worked under. And I was sitting there listening, because even though I was really quiet and behind the scenes when I worked with Marion, I knew who the trailblazers were. I knew about the Talani Kennards, the Nikina Evans, okay, the Taladines, the Pam Farrells, the Cornrows and Companies, the Adamola Mandelas, the Oren Saunders, the Sheila Everette-Hales, you know, the Talia Wajis. And I was appalled at the things that she was saying, because she was inaccurate. And on my way home from that particular conference, I decided that I wanted to do an award show that honored people who started it all, the Black Roses, okay? All of these people. But herein lies the problem for me. And Kafeli tells you I give it to you straight, no chaser.
Yeah.
I do. The problem is, regardless of, I don't care about everybody's opinions. I do care. Let me say that differently. I do care about your opinion, but everybody has one and everyone is entitled to one, and everyone's opinion needs to be respected, okay? But if you have a show such as the Master Pioneer Award, and this show is not for me because we make no money when we do this show. We spend a lot of money and we make none. And people that we reach out to, because we want your voice heard. We want people to know who you are, what contribution you made, but then you don't respond. You don't want to participate for whatever the reason is, or you may not be able to participate for whatever the reason is. It's okay. It disturbs me, because that's all this show is about, nothing else. And every other year when we have this show, now we're up to maybe 500 people who attend this show, wherever we have it. The young people, the new jacks, the new generation, after the show, they're all like, oh my God, I didn't know that. Oh my God, this is amazing. Oh my God, you guys need to tell people more. I mean, you can only do what you can do, right? So I say all of that because Sheila is a Master Pioneer. She received the award, I think the first one. Sheila, right? Yeah, Sheila is an inaugural Master Pioneer. I stayed on here to say, I'm going to reach out again to each and every one of you again, because you need to be recognized for who you are. You need to be recognized for your contributions. And whether you like me or not, I don't care. Whether you like how we go about it, I don't care. The point of the show, the award show, is to honor you and for people to know who you are. We have just signed on with a top producer who is putting together a documentary, and we're doing it step by step. It may take 2-3 years to get it done, but we're going to do it, and we're going to get it done correctly. And we start from 1980 or 75, I'm sorry, and we work our way up. And everybody who was a part of building what we are standing on today, we are going to reach out to you for you to be a part of this and make a contribution. So I just wanted to say thank you, Sheila, for this. I'm so glad I got to hear what Pam said. I'm so glad I got to hear what Dr. Cornwell has said. I support Sister Locks. We have a Sister Lock consultant in my salon. We had a girl doing who thought she was doing Sister Locks, and I had to check her real quick. Okay. But everything we try to do it in decency and order. And let's always remember, in order to get stuff done, it's not unfortunate, but it's just the way of life. It takes money. It takes money, okay? We have to make our livings. We have families to support. We have kids to put through school. Is that Bob Johnson? Oh, wow. Hey, Bob. It's crazy. So if we reach out to you and we say, please, we want you to get this award. We have an amazing artist who is working with us. His name is Shamari. He is in the Washington, D.C. area. He's working with curators at the African American History Museum for us to have a Master Pioneer Award exhibit there. We are working diligently to get you guys recognized, but please work with us, please. We need your help. We need you. We need people to know who you are. Listen, I don't want to sell no tickets. Are you paying for me to get there? How am I? Please listen, people, your message and your word needs to be out there. People need to know who you guys are, because if it weren't for you, there would be no me. There would be none of the other generations that have come along. And it just hurts my heart when some people just don't want to participate for little idiosyncrasies. And I get it. I love everybody, but the Master Pioneer Award is going to go on. So we're doing it this year in 2023. It'll be in Baltimore, Maryland. I'm going to reach out to you all. We want you there. It's a gala, beautiful event. It's wonderful. And I love you, Sheila. You've always been like A++ in my world. Thank you for this, and thank you for the time you've given me to just talk and just say thank you. I appreciate you all so well, because if it weren't for you, I would not be the success that I am today. So thank you all, and God bless you all.
Thank you. Thank you, Anita. What month is it going to be in?
So it's going to be in October. It's October 7th, and it's going to be in Baltimore, Maryland. We haven't locked down the actual venue. It'll either be at the Westin BWI Airport, or it will be at the Intercontinental Hotel at the Wharf. One of those two locations, but we'll keep you posted. You can follow my Instagram page, follow the Natural Hair Industry Conventions Instagram page, and get all the information, and follow the Master Pioneers. We're going to start building and posting. I'm like Joanne, social media is the best and the worst thing that has ever happened in my world, but it is necessary. So we will be posting starting next month on the Master Pioneers on IG. So follow us if you're not following us, so that you can stay up to date. And please, I'm asking everyone, if you go on that page, please DM me your exact email contact, please, because I really want to reach out to you guys and send you some information. So thanks again.
Oh, you're welcome. Is Isis on here? And she said she got on.
Yeah, she reached out to me this morning, actually, and I sent her the code.
Yeah, and she texted me and said she was trying to unmute, and then she said she got it. Well, when she comes on, Talib Dean, Kafele, you know, I love you. What's
so
up?
it's saying not allowing her to, I'm gonna put this, that's with Isis. She had sent me something. She said it's not allowing her to connect.
Because she said that she was trying to unmute and couldn't unmute. So I thought she was in. But meanwhile, Kafele, you want to say, hey, throw in some nuggets in here. Unmute yourself. There you go.
Hello.
Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Good morning, everybody.
Rising.
So much to say. To the elders, thank you, 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 thank you. Ms. Ferrell, I am such a student and grateful for you and your husband. You didn't birth me, but you birthed a lot in me. Miss Sheila Everett, now Queen, you know I love you. Dr. Joanne Cornwell, I don't know if you remember me as a young man, but you're amazing. Miss Morrow, with all respect due to your father and all the contributions, Bob Johnson, you have been an exemplary role of Black male leadership for me. My brother Jabril, you already know, I love you. Mr. Biggers, I love you as well. My name is Tondo Kafele. I am the Dr. Umar of natural hair. I am the son. The revolution will not be texturized, not on my watch. I am the son of Mr. Ademola Mandela and Mr. Oren Saunders, and I am the brother and sister of the whole natural hair industry. Please do not be disappointed in the movement of natural hair. It is going to continue in the spirit of Mr. Gil Noble, who had a show on TV Like It Is. I am coming out with a podcast called Talking with Tondo, and I will be highlighting the elders of natural hair and any and everybody who's doing anything positive. I'm working on a book, and your work is not in vain. There are people who are on the front line for natural hair. They're just not visible on social media. Me and Isis have took the baton. We're keeping it moving. And I'm just glad that I'm alive to be a part of this. This is a cultural birthright. I don't take none of this for granted. Tomorrow, I will be 55, and just glad to be a part of something so important. Black hair matters. You know, we cannot let our culture, we cannot let the culture of natural hair be gentrified. Not on my watch. I will not, you can't license spirit. You know, the next thing you know, they're going to ask us to license making potato salad or jerk chicken. Yeah. This is our culture. You can't gentrify our culture. And with all due respect to anyone in cosmetology, in my opinion, cosmetology and the institution of cosmetology and beauty supplies are the #1 reason why Black women don't have hair today. You know, I never went to cosmetology school, and I am that one Silas who has not been institutionalized. Again, thank you to everyone on this platform. Your contributions are acknowledged, appreciated, and again, thank you.
Thank you, Tondo Kafele. Oh my God.
Happy birthday,
Kafele. So I got to, now I call this brother cousin. You know where I'm about to come. Cousin Bob. All kicked out. Cousin Bob Johnson.
Yes.
Who is responsible for, he was the husband of Talia Wajid, and they're the ones that came together in Atlanta and had the really large conference, like Bronner Brother and all them kind of things. And he's a marketing guru. He's a whiz at what he does. And he's since he has now created his own what is that called? A Juneteenth event. So you want to talk, brother, you looking good. We like it when we get eye candy on our show. We call it eye candy. We get some eye candy on the show, you know.
Yeah, I don't know about all that. Well, we just getting up. We had a late night. Me and Jabril. You see this Jabril right here with me. That's Jalil's brother. So
Hey.
yeah,
Hi, everyone. How are
yeah,
you?
we still together. So yeah, we here in Atlanta, and we are still and forever and always will be advocates for natural hair, and especially something that Pamela said, which is we've always been against the kitty perms. I mean, we did an attack on that back during when we were doing natural hair shows. I wrote about it in every show guide that, you know, there should be a law against marketing a product that's a caustic chemical to children.
Mm-hmm.
That's worse than, I mean, that falls right underneath promoting and selling alcohol or tobacco
Or
to
leaving
children.
your gun on the table.
Exactly, the exact same thing. So that's something I'm a little disappointed that that's not already in place, but that definitely really needs to happen. That was one of our main focuses for even you know, bringing about a natural hair show to kind of, you know, rally people around those sort of issues as to, you know, to protect the most vulnerable amongst us, which are, you know, would be our children, you know, and to see that those products are still on the shelf is insulting. And so I was so happy to hear that. And it made me want to go back and just look at some of the history. And first of all, let me say, I haven't really seen a lot of you all or been in touch, you know, especially with the COVID thing that we've all, you know, just or survived. And I'm just really happy to see everyone. A lot of familiar faces, some faces I'm not familiar with, but if you're part of the natural hair family, then you're definitely my family. And man, it's just, I'm almost, I have a lot, you know, I miss so much what I used to do, what we used to do, you know, and bringing people together from around the country to also just give us that platform to stand together in unity, for natural hair, because in cosmetology, that was the before picture, you know, that was the ugly picture, you know, but after we use these chemicals and this and that, and now look at how beautiful. I never was with that, you know, and my whole thing was to fight against that, and regulating, like Tondo was saying, you can't regulate my culture, you can't regulate my heritage. I mean, that I can't understand, you know, how we would allow that as parents, grandparents, you know, to be regulated, to have someone who was responsible for our oppression, you know, our division, our enslavement, you know, to come back and want to regulate something like our hair, you know, which I do understand that when you're dealing with dangerous chemicals, well, yeah, y'all probably need to be regulated. But when you're dealing with your own natural hair, I mean, those are two completely different things. There's nothing hazardous about our hair. you know, and it's a part of who we are. It's God-given. It's our, you know, it's a spiritual thing. And before I go too much further with all of that, I'm just happy to see all of y'all. I started doing a Juneteenth event here in Atlanta in 2011. And now it's the largest Juneteenth in the country. After 10 years, this is our 10-year, going on our 11th year. And we had somewhere around between 56,000 and 100,000 people in attendance. We do a parade. I basically took what I was doing with natural hair and put it into Juneteenth, because Juneteenth has to do with freedom, and freedom is the most important aspect of free to do whatever it is, you know. Everything that has to do with us as a people is underneath the umbrella of freedom. You know, we're trying to be free from things that hinder us. So I've been doing that for the last 10 years, and I've been able to reincorporate what's in my heart, what has always been in my heart, you know, which is being an advocate along with all of you for natural hair. So now that we have grown that event here in Atlanta, again, we do it at one of the most prestigious parks in the Southeast, which is Centennial Olympic Park. We have brought the natural hair, of course. I mean, we've always kind of had it in there, but now we're really spotlighting back on natural hair, because we do still see these toxic chemicals being promoted to our children, you know, as being what makes them beautiful, you know. So a part of our effort is to also recognize all of us, as Tondo said, us elders, you know, us pioneers, because I consider myself, I don't do hair. I've been a barber, you know, and of course Jabril's, you know, my right hand brother. He's a natural hair stylist, but I'm that advocate. I'm that diehard. I'm that guy that I'm always going, you know, like I'm the one that says there is no such a thing as going natural. You can't go natural. And when they have, you know, when I hear that type of stuff, I'm like, man, how the heck? No, you could put a bucket of relaxer on your head right now, and you can leave it on there for a week. So, you know, I mean, you can go to any extreme you want. Guess what's gonna happen? Your natural hair is gonna do what it always does. It's gonna do what it has to do by God. You know, you don't have to go there. It does that on its own. What we go is all those other things. You know, we go relaxed. You know, we go extended. You know, that's where we're going. But we're always natural. And I see my brother Ari shine. Man, I love you, brother. I love you. You know, man, you've been a great inspiration to me, the natural hair scientist. Yes, sir. You know, brother, the sculpturer, you know, the always dealing with the hair in its natural state.
Yeah.
You know, and for all of these years on that I've been blessed to be a part of this community, whether we're in communication or not, we always there in spirit. Always there in spirit. But there's so many people on Taladine, Pamela, and mentioned like Nakina and just all these different people that we were able to meet and advocate with over these last 30 years, you know, was a blessing in my life. And I look forward to I know Sheila, well, Queen, you know, you, Arby, Sean, Pamela, we have awards that we want to do at our Juneteenth this year, you know, for anyone who can make it. And that goes to Pamela and basically everyone. I mean, there's no one, everyone needs to be acknowledged, like Tondo was saying, and even, who was that was just on the phone? Anita, was that Anita? Yeah. I mean, and what, you know, what she was saying, you know, about acknowledging people. Well, we're definitely aligned when it comes to that. There's not enough acknowledgement that we can do. And these people, these up and comings, they do need to know. They need to know the stories, you know. They need to know everything. And I'm just blessed to have had an opportunity. I just sit here and look at you and I like, how did I meet all of these people, you know, from all across the country, from you know, and even outside of the country? How do we all come together? I remember the Braiders Guild and the Braiders Network and all of that. I remember when I came to my first show that you all were having in New York, you know, and when I was first connecting with Talia Wajid, and I was looking at all of this and I was like, wow, this is really interesting. And you know, and I know it had a lot to do with braiding then more so than just natural hair, like that whole like forget everything but just the natural hair in its natural state. There's nothing better, you know, than what's natural, you know. That's my opinion. But I was so inspired, and that's how the World Natural Hair Health and Beauty Show came to be. And that all of you all came for all of those years. And I mean, we did, you said it, that was a big event. It got so big that, as a matter of fact, my mentor, who was Daryl Bronner of the Bronner Brothers, is the one that told me to do a natural hair show because they wouldn't allow me to do it at the Bronner Brothers show. I tried to get that added to the Bronner Brothers show, and Daryl Bronner cold turned me down and told me that they make chemical relaxers and that what I'm talking about is a niche and that I just need to do my own event. And that's what I did. That's when I met Ari and we went to, you know, working on that natural hair show. And I remember 3 specific years where the fire marshal shut the show down because it was too many people. Said all these people got to get out of here and then come back. and then when we get to the limit, you know, then we can cut it off. So much history with you all.
Yeah.
And man, my I don't know. I'm emotional. I can't really express how much I miss you and what we were doing. And that's why I want to well, not reinvent, but I definitely want to add that and invite you all that whenever we have this Juneteenth event that we have in Atlanta, that we have a whole natural hair. I used to love the natural hair competitions that we would do, especially with the locks, you know, the locks and looking for the world's biggest afro, you know, trying to blow up the afro. The people will see you with an afro and be like, did you just get out of jail? You know, what's wrong with you? You know, and all that kind of stuff. And that's like, man, there's nothing more. We're the only ones that can wear that afro. I mean, that's a crown. Yeah. That was and Sister Morrow with the Cheryl and with the 400 years without the comb. Man, that when Ari Shine put that book in my hand, that took me to a whole nother orbit. I mean, just learning about how we got introduced to the chemical hair relaxers with the, you know, cleaning with the lye and how some of the lye got on the hair and we seen it get straight. Maybe that was a way we could escape, you know, kind of emulate these people and get up out of here. And you know, the whole thing with though all those things were so inspiring to me, you know, to know you people. And some of the people like Cheryl, I never met you, but I know you through your father and that 400 years without a comb. And I'm just sitting here in awe that I'm so glad that you had this today and Arishan got it to me and I told you, Brill, we got to be on this. You know, it's our family. You know, this is our family. I'm still here, y'all. I'm right here. I'm ready to work. Whatever we need to do, let me know. I'm there. I have a big event in Atlanta. I want all of you all here and as my guests, my family. And I'm just gonna leave it right there. You know,
Father,
thank you. And see you.
Sister Locks has participated in that Juneteenth for 3 years, coming up on our 4th year. And I just want everybody to know it is an inspiration, not just locally, but we take that back to San Diego. We publish people to focus on their own Juneteenth. And so, you know, it's way beyond what you even see. So I want to thank you for that.
Yeah. Well, I, just thank everybody. I want to really acknowledge Arishan. And how old are you now, brother?
81. Young. Can you hear me?
Yes.
81 and
81. And he's still doing hair. He's still locking.
Tell him to present his ID because I don't believe him. I want to see some ID.
And he's still looking sharp as a tack. You hear me? So in our last, we have about 6 more minutes. What I want to do is I want to thank everyone for showing up and being supportive. And I love all of you. Pam, you're my girl. Let me tell you, Joanne, I said, when Bob told me you come, I said, I can call her and see if we can sleep together again. So we can share a room when I come into Atlanta. And Cheryl, you've always been just like I've known you, like I said. What I'd like to ask the 3 of you are, what are you working on now? What's next for you? So if we can start with Pam. Unmute yourself, babe.
Okay. So I'm working on many things, but one of my projects that I'm working on now, and I've been working on it for years, it's called scalp mapping. So I created this system where I teach women how to detect health problems based on different zones on the scalp that correspond with different organs and systems in the body. So this is what I call, our new form of healthcare, where we're able to monitor and know whether we have hypertension, gut problems, liver, hormonal problems based on your scalp and your hair condition.
Awesome. You writing a book? Is that a book?
Yeah. Yes. A book, Scalp Map, Circle Hair, yes.
Now, do you do classes on that, on alopecia?
I'm actually, that's why I'm doing the book, and then I'll be offering some courses on it, because this is something that's really important to me to really get out to folk, because a lot of people, what I'm learning, they're not going to the doctor, and for many reasons. Some people don't have health insurance. You can't have trust, a lot of the doctors, but we have to know how to take care of ourselves, how to recognize when there are health problems. And we get our hair and our scalp all the time. And I find that women are motivated by the hair and scalp. Women will come to me, and let's say, for example, like the top crown is with the cardiovascular area. And I will have women come in, we look at that area, I may do a hair mineral analysis, and they have hypertension. They may have transient hypertension, meaning it comes and goes, but it's caused by a mineral imbalance. So, you correct that mineral imbalance, and then you can correct that hypertension. And so that's the kind of work that I do. But women are motivated to do the work because women want to keep their hair. And so I use hair as a way to really empower people to take care of their health.
Thank you. Cheryl, what's up? What you working on now?
Semi-retired, but I got a lot of portfolio and formulation portfolio that I inherited. And I think one of the things that will be my legacy, hopefully, is to compound and just build upon the legacy of just the whole Black hair care entrepreneur, ingenious story of creating probably the largest segment in the history of mankind. I mean, and we have a summit coming, and I decided to unearth all of my dad's intellectual property and illustrations and things that he has done from 1962 until 2019, 2020, but also to make sure that Afro-cosmetology is we get into trouble when we do want recognition, and I think that in trying to authenticate oneself, trying to align ourselves into this legitimacy in whatever definition that is, but and to make sure that Afro-cosmetology is a discipline and a scholar that is accessible to any student or anyone. So Afro Science Summit will be in Cleveland, Ohio. I think they're trying to do it at the Karamu Museum in Cleveland, Ohio in July. And so that's when we'll unveil anatomy posters, scientific papers and studies, and and just in terms of what it is to be an Afro entity in a body, and what that means in the world. And this is the 50th anniversary of For and Youth Without a Comb. My dad wrote it in 1973, and then I think 1982, and then 1991. And so the next 400 for me is going to be in kind of a tribute into the next 400 called Afrophilia. And I try to make sure that we call things by their right name, and that we don't use hair discrimination, and actually it's Afrophobia. And so trying to expand it and make sure that we can redefine. I think you were talking about how a stickler and a wordsmith I was.
Yeah.
And it's important to call things by their right name, because if you don't, then you're really out of context. So that's what I'm doing now, and creating some micro business concepts for us to own our own beauty commerce. That's very important. And so we're coming up with a beauty supply concept and called Cosmetic Couture, which we teach actually, don't send your customers to the beauty supply store. You have them already at your access right there in your chair. And so there is an opportunity for us to disrupt that beauty supply model and sending your commerce away from you. And so in any case, that's what I'm doing.
Okay, Natasha said,
and I just want to say thank you. I'm sorry?
Natasha asked, what's the term?
What
term?
The term instead of hair discrimination?
Yes.
Oh, Afrophobia. It's a phobia. They're not just, it's a different mentality. You have to understand, if we are affected with our mental space, well, so is the system. And the system is always working from a mental capacity that is in opposition of yours. And so that is the basis and the platform in which their mentality is dealing with it. It's not it's not a discrimination in terms of your hair per se. It is your expression that is the phobia. And we need to deal with the mind that causes the social illnesses, not the social illness in and of itself. And so when I teach it, we are dealing with the mentality that is causing the issue and not the issue itself. And so, Black people, we talk about things as if the entity just exists away from the human being. And it's the mentality that is creating the impediments, the social impediments. not the impediments itself. And I think that, I hope I answered the question. And I appreciate the invite of being in the company of such great people. So thank you very much. And it's so good to see your sweet face, Doc. And thank you, Miss Pamela, for just being so wonderful and being yourself and being bold. And you too, Sheila, I appreciate it. And it's good to see you, Thondo.
Joanne?
Yeah, so I'll be as brief as possible. Thank you, everybody. Big hugs to everybody. So our direction was determined by, it was kind of one of the gifts that we got from the pandemic, and the fact that our whole training model, we had to reform that. So in past a few years, we've been actually restructuring our entire training program. But as a result, we have a stronger, more focused business. It damn near killed me, but now we do much more of our training online. So what we're doing is expanding our online course offerings, doing more coaching and mentoring post-class, right, kind of graduate coaching and mentoring. That's been a focus for the last year or so. And the second thing that we really want to get back into is trichology, is the health of the scalp and hair and scalp. And I've worked with Cheryl Morrow previously to establish the groundwork. My vision is to transform what we call our online academy into something that has a trichology division to it, a hair loss, focusing on hair loss, et cetera. Because so many things that we see coming up, especially with long-term sister locks wearers or lock wearers or whatever, we think that because it's natural, we don't have any problems anymore. But the fact is that hair loss issues are continue to plague our communities of women mostly, but men as well. And so to provide a center or an institute to establish something like that, where I can collaborate with some of the experts that are on the screen right now, and start kind of making that more a household term and concept among our communities, because so many of us don't even know that hair loss, study is a thing. So I think that's a contribution that we can make beyond the sister locks themselves. So
wonderful, wonderful. So what my passion is not the doing of the hair, but the leadership. So pulling together the natural hair industry educational leadership symposium, where we can talk, doing hair, okay, but actually, how do you run your salon? How do you create books? How do you publish your books? How do you do all that to make the industry run? How do we open up our own beauty supply stores? All of that is what we need to come together on that level and really discuss how do we document the history, and there's all kinds of ways. It can be in film, it could be also in books, it could be, all kinds of different ways. So that's what I'm working on, and a plethora of other things. But as far as the industry is concerned, that's my concern. And education as it relates to schools, that it is important that not only do we need to braid hair, some people are, I want the cut everything off, even if it's my locks, I want to start all over. And then you have to send them to a cosmetologist to cut their hair. No, we need to know how to do all of it ourselves. And we need to stand that we don't have to have a cosmetology license to do it. I'm not against a license itself, but it needs to be us. We make our own judgment. We design our own principles, our own, what's the word?
Destiny.
There you go. We do that. And we make sure that each of us, we need to know more, as far as I'm concerned, like shampooing for us takes 2 and 3 days to go over shampoo, because we're dealing with herbs, we're dealing with all of that, way more in depth than just how to shampoo the hair. So we need to come together as leaders and create that for ourselves. So that's where I'm going. And I thank you all for coming. I see Brother Mays is over there still doing hair while he's listening. I see you, Al. And thank you, everybody. For my Elizabeth, do you have anything you want to say as we're running out the door? Especially my partner. And here's Bridget, the new Sister Locks girl.
I'd like to come on and say thank you, Dr. Cornwell, Pam, Queen Aduni. I'd like to thank all of you for being the leaders and for going before all of us. To join this family was quite emotional for me. When she finished my hair, it was really emotional for me because I really felt like this is, it was just there's really no words. There's really no words to express when you aren't wearing anybody else's hair anymore. No more weaves, no more braids. This is me, this is mine, this is what God gave me, this is what my parents gave me. And to walk in that power is wow. So I just really want to thank all of you. And it's just an honor to see your faces and to meet all of you and to hear the history. And I'll piggyback off of what everyone has said. This history needs to be told.
Yeah.
It really needs to be told. Don't let it die with you. I am complete. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Diane Bailey, thanks for jumping in. We're on our way out, but thanks for popping in. I want to tell everybody that this recording is will be on grandrisingelizabeth.com. We have an archive, so go on there, and if you want to hear it again, if you didn't get the whole show and such. Lolly's my co-host.
Yes. Thank you to everybody who was on here today. First of all, these are the earrings I was talking about. Okay. Right. Thank you, Mom Evelyn. This is such a profound conversation. One, because I am locked, but my journey was really all about self-love, because for so long, I'm like, I had to wear weave. I had to somehow my hair had to be straight. My hair texture is funny, so it never wants to lay down. But it's like I always had to try to find a way to look like this or conform, and it just never worked. And so for me, I just was like, I'm gonna just twist my hair and just let it go and see what happens. So I probably will start over later, but I appreciated this conversation because even in it, it empowered me to feel better about myself today and my hair. I had little twist in my hair, extension twist in my hair. I took them out. But this is great for us to be able to share this in such an empowering and informative way, especially for me as a Black woman, but even for our young ladies and young men growing up, learning about their hair and understanding the beauty and the complexities, the beautiful complexities of it. I think is so amazing, and I think we definitely, I know that it'd be great to continue this work. So I appreciate everybody here. And I think that's about all I got to say.
So as we close, we want everybody to hug themselves. Give yourself a big hug. Oh, I can stretch that backbone. And then hug the world, because it certainly needs it. And then sprinkle love and generosity and goodness and kindness and forgiveness and all the good things that you need. And I love you all. Peace, and make it a fun day.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye, everyone.